Welcome back to Spider-Man Shadow Dimension. So, since we completed the first 4 rounds, let's loop again and start with the next amazing Spider-Man levels, which will take us to the Colorado Desert.
Complete with infinite possibilities on the eve of Infinity War, which is out in my town. It's starting at 7 o'clock p.m. tonight.
And now this part is dated. Thanks.
Well, it wasn't ready.
Most of our parts aren't ready, and yeah, like Tio said.
Whatever.
Okay.
Not that I care much about dated parts, I'm just saying.
The next fragment. And there it is. So why is my spider sense tingling?
You're in a place with sand, Spidey. Although I do have to wonder what the hell Sandman's even doing out here in Colorado.
Good question.
This is where he went after the ending of Spider-Man 3.
Oh no, it's Thomas Hayden Church!
Hey, I like Thomas Hayden Church.
Yeah, I do too, it's just why he was
Although I
given
will
crap material.
admit, I prefer him in comedies.
Sandman. You know, every time we play together, I end up digging.
Well,
There you go.
I think he can be a good dramatic actor, it's just, well, Spider-Man 3 gave him shit material.
Sandman here is voiced by Dmitry Dyatchenko. Don't know much what he did.
Marco.
Where does the joke even originated? Like
Marco Polo, you know, the famous explorer.
My jokes are
It,
bad.
well, I know, Jova, but I don't know why it's used as that type of joke. Because
Well,
it's pretty common in America.
It mainly has to do with the fact that you're in.
Let me look it up.
It mainly has to do with the fact that you're in a pool swimming and Marco Polo sailed across.
Well, yeah,
the
that's how
river in there.
that's how Uncharted does that joke. But
Exactly.
in here, there's
That's
no
how-
there's no joke here.
Well, okay, to
There's
be
no-
fair. No.
Let me
It works here because Flint Marco's his name, so
Anyway, the main gimmick of this stage is that Sandman is using the fragment to begin to power himself up in order to control more and more of the sand of the zone. But conveniently enough, this is also an abandoned institute of the Roswell Corp. I think it's
Roxxon.
called Roxxon. Yeah, they're the Roxxon Industries, which which means, yeah, I'm getting stuck a bit, don't worry, I'll get out in a second. Which means there are conveniently a lot of water barrels and wells to use to contra Sandman. Seriously, it's relatively weird. There you go.
yeah.
There you go, Teo. I just sent you the wiki art. It comes from the Marco Polo game, where people without vision say Marco and the other one says Polo.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
So, Sandman's fucked, right?
not completely. Thanks to the heat, he's gonna actually regain his powers relatively quickly. So it's a matter of making him wet, heating while he's in state, rinse and repeat.
Thank God that Diamond Shard didn't give him the ability to heat himself into glass.
Will have no effect unless
Or
he is
having a
turned
daughter
into
that's made of cement. Jesus, Spider-Man Rain sucked.
Spider-Man Rain. You know, that comic had a lot of good ideas and some good moments.
Honestly, no, Joe,
But
because
it
it makes me ask
hold on,
so
let me
many
finish,
questions.
let me finish.
Sorry.
It had good, but it was overshadowed by the bad, and yeah, Mary Jane just dying because of STDs.
Not just that, Jova. To me, the most stupid part was the fact that, oh, all the other superheroes have just either abandoned or have died because. At least Old Man Logan gave a decent explanation.
Hey, you know what I like? That comic book where Sandman tussles with Hydro Man. It went about as well as you can imagine.
Yep.
And then there was the time they got fused into Mud Monster.
Ew. Anyway, let me get to briefly the bio of the character. The character, Flint Marco, was created in 1963 by Stanley and Steve Ditko, so and he's always been a part of the Sinister Six, so always been a very strong recurring enemy of Spider-Man. He's actually more easy than in terms of characterization than he is in the Sam Raimi movie, in a sense that he's a simple thug that actually gained these sand powers and then decided to put it to use. Classic Silver Age stuff. There's no weird backstory or family drama tied to him, at least not on the surface. Obviously, with the comics developing, he gained a bit more and more personality, but he stayed most of the time relatively simple.
There was that time when he was a good guy as well. Basically, in the modern
Yeah,
age
he
now,
flip
he's...
flops a bit in terms of morality, right?
These days, you know, like, you have stuff like he has to rescue his father who was about to get the death penalty for a crime he didn't commit. Yeah, stuff like
Yeah.
that. And yeah, there was also that point where he was actually a good guy, but then he got split into 4 different versions of himself, one of which involved his Rule 63 so.
Because of course.
And
I mean,
unfortunately, that turned him
it
into a bad guy again.
It made sense when Loki did it because he's shapeshifter and everything. But
I mean, I
don't
guess
know.
to be fair, the Rule 63 is supposed to be his feminine side.
I don't know, Joe. To me, it's a bit of a stretch, and I forgot when it was.
God, I
When
think
year it was.
it was
Also,
either in the Bronze Age or it was in the Modern Age.
that hand is not supposed to stay there. There you go.
Whoops.
Yeah, trust me, the best glitch in the entire game will happen in 2 parts from now. In the next actually no, 3 parts in the next noir level. Another thing that I forgot to mention, the spider emblem that you collect not only function as currency but also to restore your health, so they serve a double purpose, so if you see them in an area like this, you want to wait a bit before getting them. There you go, almost done. But unfortunately, this is one of the cases where Sandman actually starts using the fragment from the very beginning, which means that things are gonna get progressively harder and harder because he's gonna lose control of his powers very quickly. This also means that we're gonna get some minions tied to him because usually operates with the other Sinister Six, he doesn't have minions of his own. Hold on, almost done. There you go.
I got a better idea for how to deal.
Okay.
That's nice and ominous.
I'm gonna run away as a dust tornado. Brilliant.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's best also to do some cleanup only when he's gone from the area, although you still don't want to jump in the sand.
Well, crud, he could control it from there. Hey, you know
Yeah.
what would come in handy? The Spider-Mobile.
Yeah.
Ah,
The-
the good old Spider-Mobile that Peter Parker even got sued over.
Basically, it's a car that can actually run through walls.
And run on walls when modified properly.
There you go. Thanks to the power of the tablet, Sandman now is capable of creating these minion creature, which function as your minions for the level. They're actually really easy to defeat, so they're not too much of a hassle. But you need to wet them first before actually dealing with them. So it's a matter of positioning yourself. Again, thankfully this Roxxon establishment has infinitely water barrels everywhere. For a place that's in the desert, it's constantly filled with water for some reason.
I guess it makes sense for the employees.
Maybe the Stone of Reality is somewhere in here too?
I don't know.
Just don't use that in a game of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. That stone's broken.
I don't know, dude. I don't know, Joe. I think the Soul Stone is actually more broken than that.
So in reality, either way, you're an
It's-
a-hole.
whatever, they're basically Chaos Emeralds, they're meant to be broken.
Yes. Anyway, this is gonna function like a mini hub world in a sense, but you're gonna need to flip-flop from part to part of the stage, occasionally enter one of the mine, which functions as a mini dungeon, all the while to get to Sandman and actually get it over with by weakening him using those water wells. Thankfully, the bad news is that Sandman will actually constantly destroy part of the environment for you to not being able to use it. But the good news is that there's so much debris that the Spider-Man can jump, flip-flops between it. There are some specific mini achievements also tied to jumping on as many debris as possible. Again, it's nice and it teaches you how to do the level fine enough.
This level is definitely better than Kraven's level because while it does have its fair share of enemies here and there, this one at least does mix up the platforming more than the Kraven level does. I'm talking about for Amazing Spider-Man level.
Yeah, I agree, but between the 3 Amazing Spider-Man levels, I don't know, this kind of is not my beef here because it drags
visually.
just a... the Amazing one, it drags just a bit too much. I honestly feel it should have been just a bit shorter.
I think we can
whereas
agree that the best
Resident-
one for Amazing Spider-Man is the third one.
Yes, definitely, mostly because of how the fan service is integrated with the story we're doing.
Yeah.
Basically, dweebs, you wouldn't know, but an enemy of Spider-Man is an enemy that he shares with the X-Men, believe it or not. But again, no big spoilers until the actual reveal.
See, that's one advantage of Spider-Man. He's got what I call the Batman effect. He's so popular a comic book character that a lot of times he'll get villains outside his rogues gallery to the point where they're practically an official part of his rogues gallery, and vice versa.
It was a bit jarring in the Acts of Vengeance storyline because for some reason we decided to make him fight Magneto, which had no real chemistry in terms of villainous hero.
But hey, Tio, it showed that Spider-Man can even beat Magneto if he puts his mind to it.
That's the thing. Spider-Man doesn't really have anything too metal for Magneto to take advantage of. So, yeah. Basically, for context, Acts of Vengeance was a comic book event with a simple premise. The major villains of the Marvel Universe gets together and said, "Hey guys, maybe the reason we're failing constantly is because we're facing each other the same. Each of us is facing the same heroes over and over again. So let's try switching places and see what happens." On paper, this is a cool idea, and gives some variety to the stories. It just wasn't developed well enough.
They jobbed.
The results were very mediocre. The best storyline is the one of a Fantastic Four, where it's essentially Civil War gone right, in just 2 numbers.
The main issue of Acts of Vengeance was like, well, you know the idea of swapping to the enemy that you have an advantage over? Apparently the villains kind of did that, but in the reverse, where they kind of went against supers that they have weaknesses against.
Or sometimes you got weird combinations, like again Spider-Man and facing Magneto for no real reason.
You know what that reminds me of? That X-Men show where Apocalypse is pitting all these villains against the X-Men. So who does he choose to go after? Storm, quite possibly the most powerful X-Men? Mystique.
Yeah, no.
Like, he sent Mystique after Storm, who's an Omega-class mutant who has single-handedly taken on a few villain teams of her own. Mystique!
Yeah, again, Mystique only has the power of shapeshift, otherwise she has to rely on fucking guns.
And even with her shapeshifting, I forget, does she actually get the power of those she shapes into? Well, I mean, okay, obviously not with all cases, but I wonder, does she actually get the strength with the different sizes, or
no.
Is it just superficial?
No, it's just superficial, if I recall.
Yeah, she was boned.
Unless it varies on the alpha. I really forgot.
Regardless,
Mystique
though,
is one of my least favorite X-Men villains, anyway.
But Tio, she gives Rogue depth by being her mother of sorts. I never got that.
Anyway, down the first it goes.
Wrong. Moisturizing is supposed to be good for the skin. Where are you going now? Can I come? Huh? Can I?
Alright, time for the first mini dungeon inside the mine.
Hey, ride in the cart!
It's like Disneyland. So let's see what Spider-Man thinks about this.
Aw, we're not going into the spooky old mine, are
Yes, we are.
We have to solve a mystery and unmask someone dressed as a ghost, too? If so, my money's
Mine levels aren't great still.
And I would have gotten away with it too if it
all
weren't for you
things,
meddling kids.
Tia, what Pokemon theme would be relevant for a level like this?
I wonder. Well, isn't there a mine dungeon in Gen 4? I think.
I haven't played Gen 4. Well, I played the Gen 2 remakes, but not Gen 4.
Yeah, I know what you mean. The thing is that I don't remember a lot of Gen 4 for this very reason. The only
I listened to a couple of tracks and it sounds boring.
The only thing I remember from Gen 4 is the old...
Yeah, go ahead.
The only thing of note I really remember from Gen 4 was the old Haunted Chateau.
Yeah, I didn't care for those soundtracks either. Like, my favorite... Sorry.
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead, Pedro.
My favorite Pokemon soundtrack is still Black and White soundtrack. I love that soundtrack
Okay,
so much.
I'll give Gen 4 credit
Not
though.
better for Gen 5.
Okay. I guess Cynthia's
Yeah, that's what I was about to mention.
Cynthia's
Cynthia
scene
is
is memorable.
not just that. She herself is possibly the best and most competent champion in all of the regions and generations. Why? Because she actually has a team composition like an actual PvP trainer would actually have. She doesn't. She's not monotype. doesn't rely on different types of, weird types of Pokemon or, inferior evolutions. She's actually very competent in her job. Anyway, next boss fight is against the Sandman controlling these weird golem. That's nice. Yeah.
You will need a great deal of water to stop
Yes, we know, madam.
Thank you, Madam
Basically,
Web.
for now, you just need him to beat these barrels. There you go. Oops.
Eek!
Yeah. It
Oh, yeah,
it solidifies his hand, so you can just, pummel it. There you go, like that. Do it a couple of times, then other barrels will start appearing, and you just need to throw it at him. It's actually really easy as this one is a boss fight. But again, it's one of the things that I think makes the level drag just a bit too much, but it's not the major problem to me. Anyway, like I was mentioning, my favorite parts was Gen Forward. Again, Cynthia, whatever she pronounced, as a champion. They gave her even a completely different name in Italy, so I keep getting confused anyway. And Team Galactica's motivation and the actual conclusion, just in Platinum, obviously, because they take a different spin on it. It's the only team that's actually really knowledgeable about it and actually gets what it deserves in the end. Jesus.
He's going all out.
Like, again, Team Flare in Gen 6 tried kinda to do the same thing on a different scale, but to me it just wasn't that convincing.
To me, the issue with Team Flare is
the less we talk about Team Plasma, the better.
The issue with Team Flare is this. I mean, they're starting off relatively comedic, and I get what they're trying to do, the whole dark turn here and there, but I'm sorry. I mean, yes. I mean, I guess that Lysandre was gonna be the leader of Team Flare, but that's just because he has a similar hairdo. Like, that's literally all I
Honestly, also, Jova, honestly, the whole 3,000-year-old machine that can heal or destroy the world was a bit bullshit for me.
I've heard that apparently the anime of X and Y does it better.
It does much better.
The big problem, Pedro, is that it's just right after the big letdown that is the Chaos Elite for Ash.
I mean,
the viewer still has that sour taste in his mouth.
that's the thing about XYZ. I mean, even what's really the finale of XYZ is a pretty good episode. Heck, we finally actually have a canon love interest for us that they carry through with and don't forget in Sun and Moon. The one issue is that for us, it was shaping up to be such a great season of Pokemon, and not just for Pokemon, but a really great show in general. And then they had to repeat the whole thing that Ash can never win the freaking Champions League.
Again, they even brought back the Gen 5 riders just for that.
Hell, Ash could have got back his Charizard, who can, if I recall correctly, his Charizard turns into the
Not
Y
just that,
version.
Jova. Just like everyone pointed out in SSMB, for the last fight, he had pretty much a clear type advantage.
He had a Water Dark type against a against a Dragon Fire type because Mega Charizard X adds on fire. Adds on Dragon to fire status. Whereas there's Mega Charizard Y. Okay, yeah, but still fire and flying. But all the same, though, at least Mega Charizard Y actually can do, Solar Beam. So it might have made sense if he could go toe-to-toe if you're using a Mega Charizard Y. But no, it was Mega Charizard X.
Because the job again, we needed some promotion for that Mega Evolution. Even though in Gen 7 we completely forget about them and just tag them on.
Why did Ash not bring back his Charizard? Because Charizard was kind of a semi-regular for him around that point.
Joe, I'll just say that. Well, Joe, the biggest problem to me is that the fact that Game Freak and Nintendo are still allowing these kind of things to happen.
Well, I mean,
that
the problem is, the show itself even does address the type advantage. It's just Ash lost because contractual obligation at this point.
I still... Sorry.
Go ahead, Pedro.
I still don't understand why we couldn't have just done an anime based on each gen.
That's
You know,
what
like
the
the
seasons are.
origin anime was supposed to do.
No, basically, again, just do what the Origins anime was supposed to do, but over the course of various episodes.
Well,
And,
that's the thing,
and every
Pedro.
time a new gen comes in, the anime himself also starts.
That's the thing, Pedro.
To me, that's the most logical
Sorry.
thing to do, but again, I guess it's too much to ask for, I guess. Sorry.
Again, Pedro, both of the shorts that were released after a while, tied to Origin, and the, I think it's called Pikachu's Adventure manga, actually follow that specific thing that you mentioned. But the problem is the actual main anime still stays the same with this raunchy, rotten status quo that never changes.
Again, you know the sad thing is, like, I mean, I'm enjoying Sun and Moon too. I just have a bad feeling, though, that when the end of Sun and Moon comes, we're gonna have a stupid status quo. Because Sun and Moon is also making changes like X, Y, and Z did. And again, X, Y, and Z on the whole is a good, actually a pretty great anime. But again, they cannot seem to break out of that stupid trend, and
Also-
that really leaves
Well,
a bad
considering how
taste.
people reacted to, you know, X and Y, maybe they're listening.
Well,
I
I
don't know.
mean, I guess to
You're
be
they
fair.
haven't listened for the past 20 years.
Okay. To be okay.
What?
To
That's
be
because they didn't. That's because they didn't. Hang on. They didn't. They didn't make people assume that they were going to change things, whereas X and Y heavily implied
Yeah.
yeah.
that things were going to change. Everything was the same up until then.
Not to
Nobody
mention,
expected change until then.
not to mention,
it's-
Shirai.
Oh, sorry.
Not to mention, Shirai also raises a good point because, you know, okay, we didn't expect a lot of change, yet Sun and Moon, the game, has actually shown that they are listening to critiques.
Yeah,
like, heck, they
true,
actually
yeah.
got rid of
Well,
HMs.
the
and
games and the anime are different.
But we'll
right?
just
Let me
see
finish,
if
let
it
me
reflects in
finish.
the anime later on.
Let me finish. And yes, the Sun and Moon anime itself actually has done some changes that some fans have asked for. Because again, they stay consistent with stuff. Ash, for the first time, doesn't have a random girl sidekick. I mean, yeah, he has like several friends in this one as opposed to just that one.
But Jova, that's the problem. That's the problem. Everyone wanted the chicken hat girl.
But Joe, what about the art style?
Sand.
I've got.
We-
Whatever.
We already
I've got
did
enough of
the
that.
meme we wanted the OK Watch audience.
I mean-
I've always liked the art style, honestly, so I don't really.
Also, the changes they've done with Team Rocket, basically they found the perfect balance, you know, without having to go, too serious like they did in Gen 5, to, you know, go without flanderizing them, because Team Rocket actually do get some legit wins this time to the point where they're even shocked about it. Like, legit wins. Like, well, that's another thing I do appreciate about Sun and Moon. So, okay, if there's ever an anime that I would actually be willing to trust to change the status quo, and if they fail me this time, I'm gonna be incredibly skeptical the third time, but yeah. Sun and Moon
You know,
definitely
the,
does feel like it has a shot because, yeah, it has felt like on a whole Sun and Moon is definitely along the way to response to criticism.
You know what the you know what the Pokemon anime reminds me of?
What?
What?
WWE. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
It's a long running thing where fans generally get really pissed off a lot about the bad stuff that happens, but generally still watch the show anyway for the good moments that do happen. But generally,
And because you've been there for like 20 years.
and also the fact that the fans always say they're gonna quit watching, but then they just come back.
That's the thing about
It's like the
XYZ,
beat up
though.
housewife analogy. Actually, just brought me a good example of this. Think of it like this: the whole status quo of Ash never winning the league. Think of it as the Pokemon anime's equivalent of John Cena never losing the championship for like how many years was it?
A while.
Like I lost count. I genuinely lost count of how many years it was.
Although nowadays John Cena's really more of a mid show guy now.
True, but you know
He's
what I
talking
mean,
about
right?
back
Like,
then.
Yeah, I know what
Didn't
you mean.
didn't he retired?
no.
Retired.
You think? Remember, Teo, the WWE wants at all costs to make him the face of the company of sorts. So
Actually,
They want to
Pedro,
rake in all those
Pedro, they're trying someone else now.
Oh, they are?
And he's even less popular than John Cena.
oh goody.
Well, John Cena was actually popular,
because-
so yeah.
Because at the very least, John Cena has good mic skills.
Who did
Yeah.
they get?
Well, the thing about John Cena, Joe, is that he was popular when he first started out because he was it was nice because he was fine. He was doing his thing.
And even
Problem
and
is
even
that
nowadays, And nowadays
Sorry.
he's regained some popularity, mostly due to the fact that you don't see him as often anymore, but also
Yeah.
because
He has
more...
dignity.
Didn't
The
he
problem-
voice Ferdinand in that?
He did, and he did a
recent
great
movie?
job of it. If you ask, if I say so myself, like. But anyway, the thing is, that's just the thing, Jova. They milked him so much for so many years that people got fucking tired of him.
Yeah.
It was so fucking ridiculous.
Oh, the longevity only ended when Cena sustained a legitimate injury.
Dang.
Yeah.
So they literally ran him into the ground.
It
Well,
really
he
was.
he tore a muscle in his arm.
Ouch.
Jesus.
Although
Anyway,
one thing that's surprising is that he was expected to be out for half a year to 1 year. He was back within like 3 months.
Okay, Tio, I'm definitely starting to remember why I do not revisit this level this much when
not
I
just
play
that,
this game.
Well, we're
This is
almost
going
done.
on for a bit longer than it needs to.
Hold
isn't it?
on, we're actually almost done, at least with the well part. But that's the thing. Right after this, there's the section that I think actually makes it better. If we just keep to the boss fight from here, it would have been just fine. But now we have the next mine level, and it's quite unnecessary and painful.
Another mine level. Now, okay, you know, I don't
Hold
get
on,
it.
not just that, Jova. First, we have another room to clear, which is, at this point, kind of a bit annoying. Go ahead, Jova.
Well, I will never understand. Why is it that desert levels in games seem to have a constant trend of being just redundant and mundane? Like, seriously, why is it with desert levels especially? Like, I mean, water levels issues are more so that they're padded, but even
Because
they
the
aren't.
desert is dull and dry and empty.
Yeah, yeah, and that's another thing.
Sorry.
And don't get me wrong, I mean, and don't get me wrong, while I still like this level better than the Craven level, the Craven level at least mixes things up more visually. This one
And
has
it was
another
relatively
trend from
short,
desert levels, is that it does not do much visually. Like, the mines aren't really that
honestly,
different.
The strength of levels, Jova, is that the very good levels are relatively short enough on their own. You don't need to spend too much time on it. It functions in an arcade like a way.
And here's the thing: as much as I love it, like visually, what's it called? Mirage Saloon is very short.
Probably for
Yeah.
a good
Too
reason.
short compared to the rest of the levels in Mania. Mirage Saloon, but considering how good it actually is, it's too short to the point of being like disappointing.
Not for
Okay,
Oil
this
Ocean
section.
Zone, because they brought that.
I'm one of
Okay.
those weirdos who actually liked that in the original Sonic 2, and I know that's a minority opinion, but yeah.
I don't hate it, but, you know,
Anyway.
in Mania it kind of drags a bit.
Anyway, yeah, in order to proceed, we have to rescue the operator of his drill and making him pilot, meaning that now we're about to have a fucking escort mission.
Also, you know, it's not like we could just pick him up, you know.
Yeah.
No,
I think
that's what I'm about
yeah.
to do. Like, we pick him up and actually bring him to the drill. But then, after that,
Well,
we have to protect the drill for a good chunk of minutes.
My point is like,
This
well, no,
process is going on for way longer than it needs to.
Yeah, my point is like, well, it's not like we could have just picked him up right there and then. No, we gotta beat the enemies while he waves his arms about. That, I never got that. Like, you know, in older Spider-Man games, you could just pick up the
you okay,
hostage.
buddy?
Thanks for saving my
It's like Teo. He's been possessed by lightning
The guys
returns.
of Lightning.
Anyway. Also, how dare you have a mine level and not do minecart shenanigans? Like, I mean, seriously, it's a Spider-Man game. It's practically begging for minecart
Especially considering
shenanigans.
he's trying to emulate the 60s cartoon.
Like, I mean, again, like, well, this game is so much full of fan service, and for the most part, they were doing it well. I mean, you know, if there's one person I expect to make a mine level fun, it's Spider-Man, even in a desert level.
Yeah. Anyway, thankfully it's almost over. Now you just need to protect the drill, which is, trust me, it's very annoying because again, escort missions are never fun in these kind of games.
There's also the other problem that the drill is so big, you have to walk around it, yet enemies will be on either side of the drill. The drill is a huge
And it doesn't
hitbox.
help that these kind of enemies are actually the big ones, the one we need. And a lot of times actually block your attack.
Or you could be trapped down
Yes, we know, madame. And not just that, the drill actually moves at its own pace, so you actually have to wait for it to be finished. So if you just kill all the enemies, you just still have to wait. So yeah, definitely, this is not one of my favorite enemy levels in the entire game.
As for why I like this better than the Craven level, I will admit the set pieces themselves can be pretty fun, especially parts where Sandman is actively chasing you, which I
Fuck
feel...
you, Spidey.
Congratulations, sir.
I won't call you when I need a filling.
Ah! Okay.
Anyway, time to chase the Crash Bandicoot style.
Yep.
Dun, 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 dun,
And I will
That's the
admit, yeah,
thing,
moments
uh,
like these actually do make this level
Due to
more
the
fun for me.
Yeah, due to the consumption of the fragment.
Wait, what do you mean pursue Sandman? We're running away from him, that's not pursuing.
Ironic.
Don't worry, Luis, we're getting somewhere. But anyway, due to having spread his consciousness too much because of a fragment, Sandman now is in a very confusing state, so he's attacking most out of desperation now. You're gonna see clearly in a minute because we're about to have the final boss fight.
Yikes! Nowhere to go.
It's the end of the line for you, Spider-Punk.
Will Spidey got on this one?
Tune in right now.
Where did you learn to fly?
Don't give
Wrong
me
universe.
I want to make him suffer. Make it last. No, do it now.
Okay, is he Two-Face now?
No, that's
you mean
exactly what
Three-Face?
Spider. That's actually what Spider-Man
Yep.
says.
Tri-Face.
I count free.
Yeah, Tri-Face, that's what
Yep.
it is.
It turns out, yeah, this is a throwback to that event I mentioned. Of course, they left out the female one.
Uh-oh. So here's how it's gonna work. The water barrels will keep constantly flying around. You need to spot when one of the faces emerge, throw one of the water barrels at it in order to solidify, and yes, it's disgusting as it looks, and then start pounding. The problem is, the zipping controls here actually works at your disadvantage. It's not really that great of a final boss fight. And it keeps going and going and going. It's not in a sense that you will die a lot here, but more like in a sense that you will get stuck flying around. Imagine, for comparison, the glitch that doesn't allow you to detach yourself from walls with Knuckles and Rouge in Sonic 06. That's kind of how it feels like.
I
Basically,
don't think
the
it's a
web
glitch,
zip
I
line
think it's-
automatically
I'm not sure if
hones
that's
in
a
on the
glitch or if there's
closest
more
one.
programming there.
Both,
Well,
I believe.
okay. It technically works the way it's supposed to, but that's the issue. You'll zip in onto the closest thing, which
Yeah.
means that you may accidentally zip into something that takes you away from its
That's the
head.
thing. That's the thing, Joe. Just like you mentioned. That's the thing. It's suited for platforming purposes, but for a boss fight like this, it just doesn't work.
And maybe if this added to the challenge of the boss, I'd understand, but nope, it does not make the boss any easier, just longer.
Also, the camera it doesn't really work to your advantage here.
Also, I gotta say, Sandman, really, your final amount of defense is to blow sand at Spidey.
Debris.
Yeah. Jesus. Not just that, it's his attacks are really weak. Sometimes he will do that sucking move. And sometimes also throwing barrels at him, it just doesn't really work in terms of, hitting him enough, because again, the way the level is, this particular level is structured. The good thing, once again, is that even on normal difficulties, health bar is actually really easy to deplete, so you don't spend too much time on this, thankfully. Also, there was something floating around, which I don't understand why it's there, but whatever.
That tornado is carrying a water bottle.
Or, yeah. By the way, Joe, I forgot to mention, might as well, considering we're meant to wait just a bit. Which of the... Oh, Jesus, that bitch. Which member of the Sinister Six is actually your favorite? I mean, the best one.
Oh, the classic ones. Let's see.
I know it's tough.
Dr. Octopus.
Yeah, I can understand.
By the way, remember the Sinister Six that involved Green Goblin?
Yeah.
And then there was the one with Hypno Hustler.
Not just that, there was that time, and this game referenced it, by the way, in some of the text hints, where Mysterio actually died because of cancer.
Perhaps there is something in
I
this debris
really don't
to
understand. Even back then, comic books had their own problems, but to be fair, not as much as nowadays.
You know, one thing I liked actually, the Spider-Man ride at Universal Studios has a Sinister Six in there, consisting of Dr. Octopus, Hydro Man, Hobgoblin.
I think we're done. Yeah, there you go. Finally.
Well, it wasn't exactly a day at the beach. It was
Nope.
orders. And now
Huh.
to clean the sand out of my shorts.
They are
Well,
gonna
at
be there
least
for a
it's
while.
over. So yeah, definitely not one of the best levels. I need, like,
It
again,
dragged.
yeah. Let's see the completion time, the clear time.
If it at least
28
looked
minutes.
interesting and sounded interesting, I would have tolerated it. But yeah, that was kind of
It has.
But,
it
that
has.
happened.
However, I can assure you, the next level is gonna compensate greatly. Why? Because we're going back to the Ultimate Universe and we're doing what is pretty much my favorite level in the entire game.
You'll see soon enough.
I'm not gonna tell you again who is involved with, but maybe the silhouette. If you don't, no, I don't think it don't show you. No, there's not the silhouette at the beginning of the next part will probably give you a clue.
Anyway,
So
just
see
to
where
end
that-
off, though,
Oh,
there
sorry.
was in fact also the ride which had Scream as a member of the Sinister Six.
Seriously, Scream?
Yep, on the Universal ride, and she may be showing up in the Venom movie if that show is anything to go
Why
by.
not even Calypso at this point? The skies don't even don't give a shit. Whatever.
Oh.
Anyway, see you for the next part.
See ya.
See ya.
Yeah.
So yeah.